The Queens of Spice podcast is created for adult audiences only. Our show contains cursing, vulgar content, dark humor, descriptions of sexual acts and desires, and is not suitable for listeners under the age of 18. Some episodes also contain themes which may be triggering for listeners. Please take care of yourself.
She's not a slut. She's just a fucking murderer. God.
Welcome to the Queens of Spice podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Froggy. I'm here with my two BFFs, Ash and Jack. Hi, guys.
Hi, Rachel.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I haven't seen you in a whole week. I'm so happy to be here.
So happy to have you back in my life.
So we are talking about...
You too, Ashton.
Chop liver. It's fine. It's good.
You're here too. Thanks, Ash.
Yeah. Thanks for showing up.
So we're talking about Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. Callum Flanley would rather dive into an open grave than take a stranger to dinner and a movie. But he can only inherit the family undertaking business and carry on their legacy under one condition. He must marry before his 35th birthday. So it's out of the mortuary and into the dating scene. Lark Thompson would rather get crushed by a falling anvil than live next to a funeral home during her stay in Galway, Ireland. The vivacious American cartoon creator and animator came here to embrace life, not to be reminded of losing her husband. When Lark learns that Callum's dilemma, an aversion to marrying out of necessity rather than love, she agrees to help the introverted mortician. Although sworn off love herself, she's optimistic that Callum can find the one and secure his inheritance. But as the dating project progresses and their friendship grows, so does the mutual attraction. The more time... Spoilers. The more time that she spends with serious, sarcastic Callum, the more she dreads finding him a match. And the more disastrous dates he endures, the more trepidation he feels for Lark's imminent return to the States. If they think it's possible to ignore their connection, they're dead wrong.
Womp, womp, womp.
So, welcome to Galway, which is like one of my favorite places on planet Earth. And I can hilariously say I've also been to Austin, Texas, which is where Lark is from. Which is very interesting. The first time I read this book, I was like, I've been in both of these places. How exciting.
And she wears pink cowboy boots, which I would totes wear.
You would,
You're
right? Okay. I wrote in your notes, because Lark is, she's an animator.
So cool.
She's such a cool character. I like her a lot. And she's like very like extroverted and outgoing, but not in like an annoying way, like in kind of a very endearing way, I would say.
Okay.
And
She's
Callum,
fun.
oh, yeah, she's super fun. And Callum is the complete opposite in every single way because he's a funeral director and he's an embalmer.
So fun.
Super fun. These are both sides of my personality. I kind of enjoy it.
Well, I liked the dynamic of their personalities too because like he was a funeral director, but he was also intensely awkward, but it wasn't that like quirky kind of awkward that you get where it's like, oh, this was written, as a shtick in the book. It was like, it was his personality straight through. Like
he's straight up an introvert.
Yeah. And he struggled with he has
a stutter,
his speech impediment. I fucking died for that. And like, again, with the consistency of it, because it wasn't a shtick. It was intensely part of his character. And it was just,
and the way Lark just doesn't, again, it's never an issue, never comes up.
Yeah.
Like it's just, this is who they are. And it's quite nice. So Lark moves in next door to a funeral home, unbeknownst to her. The book opens with her like unpacking boxes after her move.
This was the moment that I knew I was going to love this book because she was like convinced that she was living in this arts district. And so there's this beautiful house across the street. And
it's like 400-year-old home.
Yeah. Just gorgeous. Like
the sign is written in Irish. Like, yeah. Like Irish. Yeah.
So she's unpacking her things and a delivery has come to her, which accidentally, so she opens the box accidentally and it's body bags, and her brain immediately goes to, oh, it's probably for an art installation for the person who lives across the street,
because the sign on the place across or next door, the sign says Willow Haven and then the rest of it is in Irish, so like she has no idea what it says, but it says something like about funeral homes and funeral directing and stuff, but like she can't read it, so she's like, oh, Willow Haven, that's obviously a bed and breakfast.
Yeah. And so she goes to take the body bags back, and he's like acting completely normal for what you would expect a funeral director to act. And like, it's that moment where it's like, not puns, but like the play on words where she's like, oh, he's fucking weird. but he's literally just talking like he would to anybody coming into his funeral home. And then she's like, oh,
These are body bags for dead people.
yeah. And it just that moment of,
It's so funny.
and it's just, it's not that cliched kind of like, do you know what I mean?
Because it's technically a meet cute.
It super is. And it's not that like, because you get into some and it's like, oh, haha, I see why you did that because, you know, you thought it would be entertaining. But it was like, it was more done for the mute cute component of it than it was done for the comedy aspect. It's just the comedy aspect. I mean, obviously done for both, but do you know what I'm trying to say?
And it fits Lark's personality too, because she has this
Yes.
entire thing where number one, she's not into confrontation. So she's kind of tiptoeing around what she probably might already know anyway, but she's like, oh, there's no way, right? So she kind of avoids that, but she's also such an optimistic character. Like she's so like friendly and wonderful. And
she's just trying really hard to get past what she's been through, I think,
Yeah.
is the big thing. And like, again, as most stories go, you have that buildup of little pieces are dropped, but you don't get the whole story until you're like halfway, or you know,
it's quite a ways in, because I mean, I think there's like a quarter of the way in, she kind of like in her monologue, she mentions her deceased husband.
yeah, because he thinks that like it's one of those like miscommunication to a point, but like also not. But it was just, oh my god, I love that, and I was like, Rachel, you need to read this book.
So and
And
you screenshot some stuff and send it to the group chat, and I'm like, well, I'm sold. Like
Yes.
every so often you'll come across a good quote in this, and I'm just like, well, this book is for me, obviously.
Yeah, same. I love those screenshots.
the
Josh
ones
just
that
have
you
to be here.
don't pay attention to at all.
Correct. Also, I would really like to make some sort of art installation
with body
with
bags.
body bags.
I'd like to see what that would look like.
Very versatile. I know some people that would 100% do that. So
You could fill it up with like potting soil and put flowers in it, like a bag hanging on the wall with flowers.
yep, you could do that. You could.
Ashton's not allowed to help me.
That's called an unliving wall. Get it? Because it's a living wall. Hilarious. So
Not.
the next day, it's raining. She's got her umbrella. She's got her cell phone. She's waiting for the bus in Galway, and something like somebody like drives by and splashes her with water while she's waiting for the bus, and she drops her phone into the sewer. Gone. And so she's trying to but she remembers the route she has to go to work. She works at Kineticolor, which is an animation studio. She's working on their very first full feature because they've been doing commercials up until now. Also, I need to point out, I should have looked this up. It's spelled like kinetic and then color, COLOR. I'm pretty sure they would have a U in it if they're Irish, correct?
I don't know.
Because
Yes.
most of the rest of the world has U's in color.
I don't know.
Because that's an American spelling. Anyway, there's
I'm
a few.
Canadian.
I should say Ivy Fairbanks is from Florida, I think. So like, this is American writing a book.
Maybe the
In
company CEO was American.
Mr. Sullivan, I think his name is.
Also, I just want to note, I'm fairly certain this is Ivy Fairbanks' like first novel.
Oh, really?
I'm fairly certain, which
This
to
is an
me-
amazing first novel then.
Exactly, which to me was like super impressive.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I literally like tripped across it on like I think it was Facebook, but it was like, I like the cover of this.
Oh,
And it
it's
had-
super cute cover. Yeah,
and it-
I love when they actually like hire proper illustrators. for
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
It's
Oh,
wonderful.
yeah.
And it's like custom, like, yeah, quite nice. So she obviously she's like now she has to walk to work. So she starts walking to work and she gets, partway into town, and she runs into who other than her neighbor, Callum, who comes out of the flower shop holding flowers because flowers for funeral things, funeral purposes.
Or his wife. Is he married?
He's
She
not.
wonders.
Oh no, she knows he's not married. She's got a certain je ne sais quoi about that. They have a little conversation. She mentions dropping her phone, going to work and stuff. He's like, I'll give you a drive to work. And she's like, no, I can't put you out because, good little Texas lady. She's like, no, I cannot. I could never. And then, of course, he's like, yeah, sure, get in the car. And so he drives her to work.
In a
However,
hearse?
Yes.
So
Back of the
she,
hearse?
so she rolls up to her. A what?
Back of the hearse.
No, in the front of the hearse. There's just an empty casket in the back of the hearse. He assures her that it's empty.
But then he
Sure,
makes the
Callum.
comment.
Of course, he makes the comment of like he's never had such a chatty co-pilot or passenger in his car before.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
I find him like, I know he's supposed to be like super, super awkward, but he's just so endearingly
Very
cute.
endearing.
Oh my God. He's like, there's so many points when I was reading this. I was like, I just want to hug him.
And Lark has this ability to make talking very easy, especially for him.
Yes.
And she like has endless amounts of conversation in her soul, and she will talk to anybody all the time. Yeah, she's Ashton. And Callum, of course, is very like introverted and doesn't want to talk a lot. But like for some reason, when you put the two of them in a room together, like they're always conversating, which is wonderful. So Callum pulls up to her work in a hearse, and this is her first day at this new job. And they're like, she's the token American, right? The only American working on this project. She gets out, and a bunch of her coworkers are like standing outside of the office, like just mingling until they go in. And so they see her pull up in this hearse.
Oh my
And you have to remember too, so first day, and she's also been like splashed by gross water, so her hair's all like, wrecked, and her makeup's like running and shit. So like she looks like a mess, and she showed up in a hearse. Anyway, so she goes in, she meets everyone. Right off the bat, you get this fucking guy named Sean. Fucking Sean.
Who is also related to like
He's the nephew
owner?
of the head of the studio.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Like the director?
SEAN too, isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
SEAN. You got it.
Damn
Sean Fitzgerald, arsehole senior animator, and sentient HR violation, which is what somebody called him at one point in the book.
He's like, she gets hired on as like,
She's the art
project
director.
project
She's
manager.
art director. Yeah.
So, and he's sour because he feels like he should.
He's been there the longest, and he has the most experience, and he should be the art director. And
He's
how
super
dare they?
Hello, nepotism.
I was just
Where
gonna
are
say he's
you?
super into nepotism.
And also, which he does have a point here, I will say, is that the story that they're telling is about, it's called The Pirate Queen. So they're doing a full like animated feature called The Pirate Queen. It's about Grace O'Malley, who is like an icon in Irish folklore, basically.
O'Malley.
And so it's a very Irish cartoon in Ireland about an Irish person, and they hired an American to art direct it. So they're like,
it's like folklore stuff.
yeah. And so a lot of people are like, oh, kind of weird. But I mean, I also get it's like she's the only non-Irish person in the entire team. So I'm like, that's not the end of the world.
And
All the voice actors are Irish. Like everyone's Irish.
And I would assume, like, obviously I don't work in that kind of like realm of existence, but like I would assume that there had to have been something she had done, and I can't remember if this is brought up or not, in the project that that had gotten her the notoriety that would have spoken to them to say why she would be good at that. Because you don't just go, hey, that random American looks real good. I like her pink cowboy boots. Not over here.
No, so her previous claim to fame was a movie called Shoelace.
Yeah.
And it was I think it was Big. I wrote it down. I don't know if it's right. It was either Big Sky or Blue Sky Studios or something like that. I wrote down Blue Sky. I don't know if that's correct. I did that from memory. But she worked for an animation firm in Austin before. And the reason she left that animation place was because of the tragedy that befell her life. Was her and her husband at the time, his name is Reese, they weren't getting along in their relationship a lot. She was putting work before the relationship frequently, and in an unhealthy way, and just not communicating and having a lot of fights and breakdowns. And one day they had this big fight, this big blowout, and he left. And he left to blow off some steam, and when he was blowing off steam, he crashed his car and passed away. And so she worked with his sister at the animation company, Rachel. Yeah. And Rachel basically screamed in her face that it's your fault my brother's not here at the funeral.
The classic
And it
moment.
was just horrible, awful badness. And so she ended up leaving that animation studio because like she couldn't do that. And to that point, she left Austin because she couldn't do that with anymore.
And the United States.
Left the entire States and went to Ireland, which highly recommend. Ireland's wonderful. Galway especially is quite nice.
I can't believe she killed her husband. That's so rude.
Oh my God. So this is the kind of grief she walks around with, though, thinking that basically she did. And for her best friend to scream that at her as well, that it was her fault that this happened, is like fairly dramatic.
Jacqueline's like the picture of
terrible.
support.
Yeah, right?
Good job killing your husband.
You did it. Do you want to kill my husband next? Bucketnut's got to go.
Whoa. Bucket nuts need a life insurance policy first.
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's get that. Well, I'll take this out of the podcast so no one knows. Insurance fraud is wrong.
If we hit Bucket Nuts in the head hard enough, do you think he'll forget that we're talking about it right in front of him?
I'm sure he tunes us out. So she goes to work, and I just heard a giggle over there. Shut up, bucket nuts. So
I'm sorry, but the fact that he got saddled with the nickname Bucket Nuts.
I will not apologize for Art. I got him a bucket full of nuts for his birthday. He likes pistachios. That's what I got him.
And then I keep going back to like where it came from, and I just can't.
I like that it stuck. It's quite charming. So she goes to work. She meets everyone. Sean, the fucking walking HR nightmare.
Yep.
And then, gosh, there's a whole bunch of like day-to-day stuff. And at one point, she meets Maeve.
Oh, but when does the mouse come in?
It's later.
Okay.
So she meets Maeve. So she runs into this, again, speaking to Lark's personality, she runs into this lady at the grocery store and is chatting with her. And the lady mentions that she has a dresser that Lark can have. And so she just needs a vehicle to go pick it up. And of course, who has
a vehicle?
Who has a proper vehicle for that? So she comes over with her biscuits and she brings them over to butter him up to ask him if he would help her go pick up some furniture.
Come and help me, sir. I am just a little woman who cannot do things on her own.
Anyway.
Can I put my dresser in the back of your hearse, sir?
Yes. So they go to Maeve's. They go to Maeve's. And Maeve is like, fuck. I want to be Maeve. I want to be Maeve when I grow up.
Maeve kind of reminds me of like not Dame Judi Dench, Maggie Smith.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Like in Downton Abbey. I know you've never watched it, but like,
well, no, I get the vibe.
My spirit animal. We would never do something so uncouth as to die in somebody else's home. Yes, Maggie Smith. Yes.
And of course, so when Lark rolls up with Callum in the hearse, Maeve is just like, "Listen, I'm not buying anything," and they're like, "Well, we're not. We're here for the furniture." And she's like, "Oh yes, right, okay."
I'm not buying anything.
He's like, "Ma'am, I would never door to a salesman. I don't have to do that."
Oh yeah, because there's a whole thing where his funeral home, there's somebody wants, like a bigger company wants to buy it up.
So you kind of learn, you get through the grapevine here that. Callum confides in Lark that he needs to go on all these dates and try to find someone to marry before his 35th birthday.
Yes.
Because his inheritance that his grandfather left him is contingent on him being married. And once he weds, the estate will be passed to him, which is the funeral home and all the properties and the graveyard and all that stuff he owns.
And if it doesn't, it's going to go to his dad.
Goes to his
dad's
father.
Sell it.
His father already has a deal lined up with their competition to sell it to them.
Yeah.
Which is a very important point.
He's a dickhole
in this story.
How old is Callum right now?
34.
Callum's 34. And so one of the points too, I'll mention.
He left it a bit late. Fucker.
Well, so his grandfather just passed away like 6 months ago. Like it was fairly recent or something. But something to point out too, his father was 16 when he and his mother had Callum. And so Callum was left with the grandparents.
Yeah. And
their father and mother like fucked off to, I think it was Scotland or something. And so they like were never in Callum's life and are very much estranged from him.
And he's Austin, Texas, where they had a daughter.
No, Jack.
Oh.
No. I did read a story that anyway.
So they're picking up this furniture from Maeve. And
Who's like, I'm not buying.
Oh my God, I love Maeve. She's just like this old like spinster almost.
Spunky.
Oh, she's so spunky. She used to drive scooters. Yeah, like Vespas basically. They have special names. I can't remember what they're called. And she's married to Charlie, who passed away like a number of years ago. And they like were estranged for a bunch of years and then got back together and then ended up getting married as soon as it was legal in Ireland. And
because Charlie's a woman.
Oh yeah, because Charlie's a woman. And it was
That's
just
why
like
I wait until it was legal.
Exactly.
Not just like, hey, it's illegal to get married in general in Ireland.
No one may be wed.
Here's your potato.
Jesus. Jesus, Ashton. Anyway.
Now there's a famine. And that's Irish history.
The end.
We're so smart.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Don't forget the Catholics in the process.
So then they dig out the furniture, they put it in the back of the thing, away they go.
Huzzah! The end.
And so this is where like Callum and Lark end up spending a lot more time together. They end up like going to the bar with Lark's people after work. It's specifically like one, which is ridiculous because there's so many freaking pubs in Galway specifically, and they always end up going to the same freaking pub, which is hilarious to me.
Creature of habit.
Because I've been to like 3 different pubs in Galway, and I was there for like 2 days. So
okay, listen, you could brag a little bit harder, but Callum is very awkward.
Galway's the best place ever. So nice.
Callum is the best place ever?
Galway?
Oh, Galway.
Yeah.
I said, no, Callum is very awkward and he needs things to be a certain way. And so he doesn't want to try a bunch of different pubs. He just wants to go to one because he is awkward.
No, this is where her animation people go all the time. Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't want to go at all, but he goes for Lark because,
And then he gets
Lark.
in Sean's face.
Sean, a fucking piece of shit.
Fuck
Okay.
Sean.
That comes back later. That comes back around near the end of the book. Oh my god, I can't wait for that. So, so they another night, Lark ends up taking him on a date to thank him, I think, for the furniture thing, and they go to a comedy club.
Yeah.
Ooh. And Jack, I wrote in your notes. This is like, as an introvert too, this is like one of my horror nightmare scenarios, where if you're at a comedy club and the person starts making fun of you.
Oh, the crowd work and you get involved. Yeah.
I think it's funny as fuck.
The
more awkward the person is, the better.
I can't. There are certain situations I could imagine that being
Personality
okay.
differences in
Yeah,
a huge
if someone
way.
did that to me, I would probably throw hands. And so I don't like that at all. That makes me reading it too. I was just like, Callum, get out, leave now. Oh my god, I feel so uncomfortable because like the guys make like, look at these two. Oh, you got
Secondhand
Barbie and
embarrassment.
whatever. Oh my god, the secondhand embarrassment was real. I hated it. Anyway, so they left there. They go for a drink. They end up at the pub where Cersei, the floor. Is that how you say it, Cersei? Saoirse. Gosh, I'm gonna say that wrong. Saoirse is with her band, so she is the florist that Callum works with. Like, she owns her own business.
Who has a minor crush on Callum.
She absolutely has a crush on Callum, and it's adorable.
I mean, I had a crush on Callum too.
Totally. So
Like, he's a cartoon on the cover of that book, and I was like, yeah, okay.
swoon.
Look at his like dapper little outfit. Like, why don't men dress like that more?
He's pretty adorable,
I know.
and he's also ripped, if you recall, because he used to work out.
Well, he
And he also
has to
hauls
move
bodies. Yeah.
around.
Yeah. So they go off to this pub and they meet up with the florist there and her band and all this stuff, and they're chit-chatting at the end of the show.
And the guy who was in the band.
Adrian, the guy in the band, who's also a solicitor, / lawyer. They end up setting up like a double date later with
Oh no.
No, it's fine. So, because Callum has to find a wife, right? And Lark has made it exceptionally clear that she is not interested in any relationships at all.
Yeah.
She's just not, because I mean, like, she doesn't disclose to Callum early on that
She killed her husband.
that her husband has passed. And so she has a complicated like skeletons in the closet kind of situation there where she doesn't want to talk about it.
Characters end up with.
Well, and in fairness, like, she dead ass ran away from everything to come to Ireland, so she's going to continue running. She's not going to like divulge it to the first person that gets close to her, right?
The
Like,
police
she's holding
are
it
after her.
anyway because she killed her husband. Jesus, Jack.
Murder in the first.
Oh, does it hurt? That's what I was like. Well, that happened.
Shark
in the book we
Daddy.
talked about
Yeah.
Shark Daddy. She was running.
She left the country.
because she killed her brother.
Nailed it because he was a piece of shit.
Yep. I remember things.
You did it.
Yay me.
So then they set up the double date situation. They go on the date and he ends up kissing her at the end of the night. What's her name? Saoirse. He ends up kissing. Sorry, Saoirse ends up kissing him at the end of the night. Because let's be particular about that. Because obviously, because she again has a massive crush on him.
Well, and he's been struggling too because he's not that he's a virgin. He has had experiences, but
So he is demisexual.
that's what I was getting at.
And
Like,
he does have like a brief conversation with Lark about this, about how like he finds it very difficult to form bonds or emotional connections. He finds it very hard to form physical connections with people he doesn't have an emotional connection with, which is straight up demisexual.
Yep.
So like represent, that's great.
I love that.
And so because of that, this is like extra challenging for him because he goes on all of these dates, like tons and tons and tons of dates, and like he never hits it off with any of these people. He finds them very disingenuine, and it's just like, again, like the further his relationship with Lark continues on, the more he's like into her.
Oh, gee, wonder what's happening there.
Right?
I'm getting attached to her, and all of a sudden I'm emotionally involved, and I want to get physically involved.
It's a whole thing.
Shocking.
And so he's trying really hard to like be into the florist, but he just can't do it.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing there, and she's totally into him. And they have the conversation where he's like, this isn't it. And she's like, you're falling for Lark, aren't you? Like, totally, she can see the writing on the wall. And he's just like, oh shit, probably.
Or on the casket.
Yeah, whatever. In the
On
meantime,
the gravestone.
there is a funeral for a magician, and during the
Oh
funeral,
my God, yes. Okay.
his grandson, who has his mouse named Harriet Houdini, lets the mouse free in the middle of the funeral, and everyone's screaming and losing their flipping minds.
It's so
and
funny,
Callum, of course, takes the kid as he gets the mouse, and he's like, "I assure you, this is a pet mouse. There's nothing terrible going on here.
Yeah, my place is not infested.
It's not infested." And he has the conversation with the kid about like, "Hey, like I recognize that like it's really hard losing someone, and you know, there's a lot of big feelings there, and I'm sorry you feel the need to act out, and it's okay." And the kid's like, "Well, they're gonna get rid of Harriet. They're gonna let her out in the garden. She's gonna get eaten by cats or something." And Callum's like, "I assure you, I have someone that can look after Harriet, and I promise you that they will not be eaten in the garden by cat." And he's like, "Okay, sure."
By cat.
So he gets a cage and everything together, and he brings Harriet over to Lark, because Lark was talking about how lonely she was and how she missed having pets and that kind of stuff.
Here's a
earlier on.
mouse.
So he gives her a mouse. Her name's Harriet Houdini, and they make a little like little trails and stuff for her, and like obstacle
It's so
courses,
fucking
and it's so adorable. And so this is her little friend. And so this, however,
Which also speaks to Rachel because she had rats.
I love my pet rats. They're like, I wish they lived for like 10 years,
They
but
have monkey feet.
they're so short lived, which is too bad.
No.
And
No. Bye, rats.
This spins off something that happens in the background quietly that like they kind of allude to every so often. You'll hear about it.
Plague rat?
Is Harriet and Plague Rat.
Yeah.
And so Lark is building this like animation and doing all the voices and stuff on the side just for funsies, that is telling this story about Harriet and the Plague Rat. And Harriet is obviously Lark, and Plague Rat is obviously Callum. And it talks about doesn't believe in magic. And so she's telling this like adorable little short story about how he ends up like believing in magic and stuff like this. Anyways, it's quite cute, but it's
adorable.
But earmark that, because we're going to talk about that later. It has a very big impact.
It's important, Jacqueline.
Very
Write
important.
it down.
Okay.
You don't have to do
In
that at all.
amongst the hearts.
Those are some cute hearts. Thank you.
Thanks.
Then we have to talk about where they start getting the feels real bad. And it starts with...
Everything kind of mushes together in my head.
It does? Yeah.
There was somebody's birthday.
Okay, I'm just about to talk about the birthday.
Okay.
Because that's where we're at.
Okay.
So,
Sorry, I have a question.
what's up?
Was there just nothing with her and Adrian?
No, not at all.
Okay.
She was, because again, she was like, I could totally, like, he's super hot, super attractive, whatever. But she's like, I can't. Like, the last time she tried to do anything with anyone, she had a panic attack, and she just wasn't ready. And it's just like not, like, she's not in a good place for that.
She was afraid she had crypt vagina, and the minute he stuck her dick in, he was just going to go, and then die.
And then perish. Because she kills husbands.
Yeah, with her plague vagina.
Plague vagina, obviously.
Whoa, that is not
It
how
escalated.
her husband died.
He died in a car crash. Her birthday rolls around.
Oh, it's her birthday.
It's her birthday. And for her birthday,
Oh, my God.
Callum does the sweetest fucking thing that makes me want to vomit on planet Earth.
Jacqueline,
he
you'll appreciate this.
Goes out and gets roller skates
No.
for him and her, and like a full leotard each.
It should also be
What?
mentioned that he is like...
He's like 6'4" or something. He's very tall.
And clearly the leotard is not going to fit him appropriately.
So his package is very well defined in it, which is interesting.
Oh, I just meant it wasn't going to fit him well. But yeah, that's it.
It fits him some way. So he for her birthday, he basically got her like roller skating together, because it's not a thing that like they do in Ireland a whole lot. So they're like outside in the garden, like there's like a paved area, and they're roller skating and having a good time, and you know, like being flirty, and it's a whole thing, and they get like really close and touchy feely, and then Callum tries to skate backwards and falls and cracks his head real bad. Like she has to drive him to the hospital bad.
Yeah.
And he's concussed, and she lies about being his fiance in order to go into the room with him and all this stuff. And
I love those moments.
oh, it's so cute, so cute. And then of course she has to stay with him, or she should either check on him every 4 hours or stay with him.
Oh, but she panics.
So they like start getting well. No, but here's the thing. Do you remember? Because
God knows.
they go back to his place, and she's like, "Can I wash your hair?" Because he's got like caked blood and all this stuff all over his head. And she's like, "Can I wash your hair for you, please?" And of course, that's like, no one's ever done that for him before. Like he's getting the
So
feels
cute.
about it in such a way. And then they end up like kissing each other, and it's hot AF, and they're both super into it.
The way
And
the way
then
Rachel says it, like it's like more scandalous than if he were to put his dick in her. And then they end up kissing.
They like
each other.
kiss
They
and
like kiss
stuff.
guys.
And they're like into
There's
it.
tongue, and oh my god,
There totally
he might
is.
even get a bit of a chub, and it's like, oh my god, it's like,
Oh, he had a full-on raging hard on. Are you kidding me?
I just think
Is she kind of taking advantage of him? Like, does he have a concussion?
So
I would say yes, he's concussed.
he's definitely concussed. Lark freaks out.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I can't do this. I shouldn't do this. You have to find a wife. I can't be that. Like, I cannot get involved in
My
this.
vagina
whatever.
will murder you.
My vagina will kill you. We can't do this. So she leaves, and she's like, I will call you every 4 hours to make sure you're okay, whatever, and fine.
Lets him die.
So in the meantime, because part of it that broke up their kiss, if you remember, he got a chime on his phone
Yeah.
from the dating website, and that's when she's like, oh shit, I can't do this. Like, you need to focus on dating other people, and you need to like figure out getting a wife and stuff so you can save your business.
Callum, there are plenty of other fish.
There's not, but that's okay.
Either that or you're gonna have to marry the old lady Deidre.
Deidre, his receptionist, she's wonderful. So she goes home, and she has an existential about this. And a number of hours later, she calls him,
He doesn't answer.
and he doesn't answer. And she calls him, and he doesn't answer. And she calls him, and he doesn't answer. She's like, fuck. So she goes over and knocks on the door, and there's no
doesn't
answer.
answer.
And she like raps on the door. No answer. So she breaks in. As one does. And she lands like in the embalming room.
Where
in one
did
of
she
the back
break
windows.
in? Oh my. Okay, that is another thing I have to comment.
What do you got?
I fucking loved the little bits of like not trivia necessarily, but like the butt plug and like the little pieces that were like you clearly either did your research or you know enough about the topic to write this well. Like,
So in the back of the book, in the author's note, she actually credits a funeral director that she spoke with about this.
I love
so
it.
she actually did the research to find out about these things.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
About the butt plugs?
Yeah,
'cause,
specifically
like-
that. Well, that's, she literally cites the butt plug in it too.
yeah, because the bodies leak.
Bodies leak.
And like things that you wouldn't really like think about, and
But and it's done so casually.
yeah, and I love it's like the authenticity of it that just
And he's so undisturbed about it all, so he's very professional about the whole thing.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It adds another dimension to his
Yeah.
character, I think.
I think because you get into books about like doctors and stuff like that, and you're like, okay, well, yeah.
So unrealistic.
Well, not even that. It's just like, oh, well, I watched Grey's Anatomy, so I guess this sounds kind of like what you know what I mean. But like, I mean, how many fucking funeral director? I guess
O'Malley.
6 feet under, maybe, but like,
Yeah, but no, it's a nice touch.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I love.
I never thought I'd say like a leaky butt plug thing would be a nice touch, but here we are. Here we
I
go.
really
Favorite part of the book is the leaky butt plug.
Well, the butt plug's not leaky. The butt plug is to prevent the body from leaking.
The butt from leaking, specifically.
Yeah,
Butt
because
plug.
yeah. Anyway, it was. I really enjoyed that little like because that's not the only part. There's
There's a
couple
ton
other
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most memorable one for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And how he's just like holding up the body and inserting the plug.
Oh God.
Like-
Anyways,
And then
it's
she-
all very casually done in the book.
And then she breaks in and she falls.
So she breaks in and she ends in the embalming room. She freaks out, obviously, because she's in the middle of a fucking embalming room, and that's horrifying for
and
her.
there's a body in there too, isn't there?
I don't think there is. I think there's a body in the freezer. But anyway, and then he comes downstairs and he's like, and she smokes him with something, or he hits her with a bat or something.
Somebody gets
hit with something. I think he hits her with a anyway. And
Cricket?
he's like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you trying to break in?" She's like, "You didn't answer your phone. You didn't answer the front door. Like, what are we doing here?" And so they go upstairs and they have another conversation, and then she ends up like leaving the next morning or something, and Deidre sees her leaving the next morning, and it's just like,
Deirdre.
Deirdre.
Oh, Deirdre.
And anyway,
I liked Deirdre though.
she's kind of great. She does hit the like old lady tone
Yes.
perfectly, I think. Because she's like, listen, there's lovely people that are looking for green cards that you can just like, look, here's a website. I'll just bring it up and we can like, you
She's
can
like
just pick someone and meet them. And
The like meddling aunt.
yes, absolutely.
Kind of like,
Because this is like her job is contingent on this
Yeah.
too. So she has a stake in it.
and she's known him forever, and like,
Yeah. Well, his entire life basically. Or she
Yeah.
worked there for like 15 years or something. So like
Yeah.
most of his life.
it's cute.
It's adorable. And so after that, he obviously goes right back to work. He's supposed to take time off, but he doesn't because Callum, workaholic. Because Callum.
Callum.
Because Callum.
Callum.
In the meantime,
Because nobody else is there to do it.
someone's got to. In the
Plug those
meantime,
butts.
she's working on like final edits and stuff.
Plug
For
those butts.
what do you do with all those butts? So
I'm a plug those butts.
so she's finishing up her final, like they're winding down on the production of the Pirate Queen, and So they're getting to like final edits and stuff, and they announce another series
Yes.
that the company is going to be doing, and they're going to be interviewing for it, and people are applying and stuff. And obviously Lark is going to apply for this job because she wants to stay in Galway. And if she stays in Galway, potentially she can date Callum.
Every time you say Galway, I hear Ed Sheeran in my head.
Does he sing a song about Galway?
He's literally a song called Galway Girl.
Oh, yeah.
She played a fiddle and
Somebody cited this to me before, and I'm like, I don't listen to Ed
fell in
Sheeran.
love with an Englishman.
Unless he did some metal covers, I don't know.
Oh, P.S.
Kissed her.
I love you. Such a cute movie.
That has nothing to do with Ed Sheeran, but yes, that was also a good movie.
Nailed it.
Good job.
It has Jeffrey Dean Morgan,
Oh yeah, and that guy.
Gerard Butler.
Yeah, that one. The one who played the guy with the "This Is Sparta."
And they sing the Galway Girl song.
Galway Girl by Ed Sheeran came out after that.
Yeah, but he just ripped off that movie, obviously.
Clearly. Also, leap year. That was also Ireland, wasn't it? Matthew Good.
What?
Not good band?
There's an actor named Matt Good.
Oh, well, that's confusing.
I would have thought what you thought.
Okay, good. I'm on the same page
Hello,
about that.
time bomb.
Yeah.
Ready
right?
to explode.
Yeah. No.
Boo.
Okay, anyway, Callum's ready to explode all over Lark.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he fucking is. He goes on and like I'm not even citing
Plug
all of
his
them.
butt.
He goes on so many dates.
Bad dates.
And they're just like escalatingly hilarious in my opinion, because one of them's like he went on a date with this woman who didn't mention she was married because her husband's a cuckold and just wants to like see her happy with other people.
My
Like
God.
shit like this.
Yes. Oh my God.
And there's like the lady who had a kid and she brought the kid to the thing and she's trying to get the kid to say dada.
Yeah,
and
calling
it's
him
so,
daddy.
Oh yeah,
Whoa.
it's so
Yeah, it's-
sketchy.
It was like delightfully atrocious.
It was
like,
and it broke it up really well because you go from like serious stuff to like lovey-dovey feely stuff, and then you go to this like fucking train wreck in the middle of it all.
Also, I have to say, because like normally when you get into a book like this, or like I shouldn't say book like this, normally I'm used to reading a book where it's the girl who has to find and the girl
Yes.
and it's always the girl going on the bad dates. Like I literally just finished one where the same kind of issue. It's really refreshing to read a guy going on horrible dates and like experiencing these things.
He's such a good sport about it too,
Oh, I feel so bad for him.
because like, he never comes off as like a huge dickhead. Like he'll just be like, I'm going to leave now, and
Yeah.
then just leaves, like very polite about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, you didn't mention you had a child, and she's like, well, you know, I just don't like you limit myself, whatever. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go now. Like, I'm gonna leave.
As a single parent who did the dating
Enjoy
thing,
your ice cream, little
yeah,
Jimmy.
yeah, right.
like, oh my God, I couldn't imagine being like, and this is going to be your daddy.
Oh, so sketchy.
I don't think I had that conversation with my son about the whole daddy thing until like 5 years, 6 years into the relationship. And even then it was like, do you want to call dad? And he's like, no, I'll call him by his name. And he calls him, like if you were to talk, you know, if he talks to you, he'd say, my dad drives a truck. But if he talks to dad, he calls dad by his name.
Yeah.
And it's just whatever.
Like, hey, Bucket Nuts, how are you? My dad, Bucket Nuts, drives a truck.
Kind of.
Yeah, nailed it. Yeah.
Daddy bucket nuts.
Oh my goodness.
He has his headphones on. He can't hear us. That's wonderful. And he doesn't listen to this, so he'll never know. He doesn't listen to the podcast.
Yeah, it's just weird to me. Like that. Don't do that. That's
So then we get to the point where Lark gets to like a breaking point almost, and she's like, I have such a crush on this guy, and I
have a
want
crush
him
on this guy.
so freaking bad that she proposes a friends with benefits situation with him.
Because that always works.
Obviously. And she's like, you know, like we'll still be friends whenever, and like when you end up dating someone or whatever, you know, like you go meet them, we'll break that off, whatever. So like just exclusive until you find someone. And so they do that, and they bone a lot, and they're super into it.
The
And
first time they bone,
hot
aren't they
AF.
in like the like outside?
No, the first time they bone, they're at her apartment, and then she asks him to. He stays over one time, and then she's like, as part of the agreement, like you're not allowed to stay over again, basically, because that's like the
Sex
cuddling and the
addendum.
whatever. Yeah. Well, that was it. And she's like, "You coming up like breakfast in the morning is a little bit too personal, whatever." So they break it off. But
Too
you're right.
close.
They do at one point like have a little like rendezvous out in one of the.
She sucks.
she's
She's
trying to
traumatized.
She's trying to
okay?
protect herself.
That's when they go to that place where they're like laying on the ground and like looking over the cliff.
Oh, the Cliffs of Moher.
Yeah.
They do that. That's earlier on.
Oh.
That's before they're even dating.
I don't know.
Or
They did
sorry,
that.
they're
It
not
was
dating.
cute.
They're
You just did like the Rose and Jack Titanic.
So
kind
well,
of look.
okay. So the Cliffs of Moher, like actually, it's funny because that's my Facebook banner because I love it. It's such a gorgeous place.
Because I've
I
been
often
to Ireland.
I often forget that you have Facebook.
I know, right? I don't use it at all. Anyway, but so the cliffs themselves, like there's like the commercial kind of area of the cliffs, and then they continue on like well into like rural areas.
Is
and so
this
there,
where the Jedi Temple is?
no, that's in the Ring of Kerry. I'll talk about that later because that's in the epilogue.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, because I should
Jedis.
mention too. Ivy Fairbanks is a huge Star Wars fan. Star Wars comes up several times in this book.
Oh yeah.
When they like the face painting day when they go out.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Anyways, it happens a lot. But so they're at the Cliffs of Moher, and he's terrified of heights.
He's terrified of everything.
He is, but he's really terrified of heights, and
Yeah.
she's not super big fan of heights either. But he's also scared that like because parts of the cliff have been known to just fall off, and like it's like a couple 100 feet up, like it's massive, and it's like just raging
Dead.
ocean. Like there's the Atlantic right below you.
You will need a funeral director.
Yeah, you'll just be gone. But there's like puffins and shit everywhere, and it's like adorable, and like you get on a nice clear day, it's like gorgeous. And
Puffins.
so they're like off of one of the rural areas of the cliffs, and they're like crawling, like army crawling on their stomachs to the end,
Yeah.
so they can look down over it. And Callum's like losing his shit because he's like, I don't want to. Like, this is terrifying. This is so scary. And she's like, let's do it. Come on, it's fun. We're having fun.
I'm wearing pink cowboy boots. Yay!
But that was just like one of the outings they went on because like
They're adorable. And
they're
shit.
adorable and they're best friends, and it's so
Bucket
cute.
Nuts would die.
Oh yeah.
Hard same.
Hates heights.
Oh really?
Hard
I
same.
didn't know. I mean, it's very like there's the commercial area of Cliffs of Moher are like very closed off. Like you would have to work to fall out or fall over them or any of that stuff. So like there's huge barriers and shit. And then there's like you can go up into one of the big. There's like a turret you can crawl up into and.
I can't
really
even
cool.
jump off a fucking
Diving board.
now. I used to kill the diving board when I was a kid. I
Yeah.
can't even jump off. I went up.
It's interesting.
My son was like, "Hey, mom," and I was like, "Yeah, sure." I got up on the diving board. No, it wasn't even the diving board. I got up on the fucking blocks that you dive off of,
Oh yeah.
and I was like, "Nope."
Really? How
Me,
interesting.
who's obsessed with swimming, and
Huh.
yeah, nope, no. I was like,
Wonder what
"Can't do it."
changed.
And you're a good diver. You guys had that diving competition on the day that we shall never speak
Remember
about.
when you have a pool? That was great.
Yeah. Damn it.
Maybe next year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's like, it's funny. I was having this conversation with my father-in-law. There's like a thing in your brains, like when you're younger, you don't like clue into the dangers of things. You just, it's the,
You have no concept of morality.
yeah. And then as you get older, you're like,
Mortality. Sorry, not morality.
all these,
Those are different things.
Yes.
all these things could go
Sadly.
wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I used to swim in the ocean in between.
Oh, I hate the ocean.
Well, you hate anything outside in general, but like I used to swim in the ocean between like where we lived and PEI. Like we just go
Oh,
out
the strait. Yeah, the Northumberland Strait.
we just go out in a fishing boat. My cousin would drop anchor and we'd swim around.
Horrifying.
Now,
Horrifying.
no way.
I would have never done that anyway.
No, because you can't see the bottom. Like something's down there.
Yeah, no. I like a pool. Pools are nice. Pools
It's
are great. They're
probably a
safe.
shark, but in my head, it's a fucking ghost ship. It's like it's the Kraken gonna come fucking drag me under. No, it's probably a shark. No, it's a
What
Kraken.
kind of Kraken are we talking about?
Not the kind that's gonna fuck you with its
Lame.
double dicks.
Boring.
But it's
Next.
Next.
But it's the same kind of a thing. Like, I used to thrive off of jumping into the water off of things. Like, oh my God, the swing. Remember the pool?
Yeah.
You could swing off.
There's
I
a big rope. Yeah.
fucking love that thing. Now, I'd fucking die. I'd be like, heart attack, and then I'd die.
And then you would just perish on the spot.
Yeah, well, good thing it's a training pool.
Yeah.
See, I think things just hurt now.
'Cause
That's
you're
why I
aware
don't
of
do
it.
them.
I mean, everything does
no,
hurt now because
my
we're
body
old.
is old and I'm
Yeah.
fat.
I mean, hard same, but like,
No, there's some like weird switch in your brain at one point that's just like you're scared of stuff now. And I'm like,
You're
never
all-
used to be scared of any of that.
you're aware of how much this will suck if something goes wrong.
Do you know how many days I have to take off work if something goes wrong? Jesus.
Oh my God. Yes. My friend and I would talk about like this time of year when it, because like the ice and stuff like that, the specific way you need to fall in order to not break, because I need my hands for work, obviously. Like fall this way, don't fall on this. And like, you
Yeah,
are
protect
so
yourself.
much more aware of things.
Ain't nobody got time to figure out how to fall when they're falling.
Do you practice? Like, do you go and practice how you
no,
fall?
but it's like I tuck in
Yeah.
so that I don't brace out because if I
Yeah.
break my wrist or
That's
like
right.
whatever, so I tuck in.
Interesting.
Nobody can see me as I'm doing this exercise for you guys.
Imagine Ashton tucking.
Yeah, tucked in,
Tuck
like
in.
like a
Curl your wrists
Penguin.
in.
Tuck and cover.
Like a penguin. Amazing. Right. So they end up with their friends with benefits situation.
situation.
He is still dating people technically. She's still rooting for the florist, of course, for that to pan out because she's lovely. And
She is
She's quite-
rooting for someone.
oh, she is, yeah.
Saoirse is a really like I liked her character
Such a well-rounded character.
and that she's like she gets it
Yeah.
and she doesn't force it, but she's not like creating drama. Like that's not where you're getting the drama from in the story. Like Sean is the drama.
Oh my god, yeah, the drama's her work.
Sean's the drama.
So let's talk about that. So they wrap on the animation, and she finds out that Sean ended up winning the series, so she can't stand
But
Galway.
why?
And so she's obviously heartbroken by this. This is awful. In the meantime, her and Callum are like kind of going through it. They end up having like a bit of a falling out. I don't remember why. Do you remember why? There was something going on. Oh gosh.
close?
At one point he proposes to her.
Oh, damn it, Callum.
And he proposes to her on the weekend where she found out she didn't get the series.
When there was an anniversary? Oh, and all throughout this whole thing too, Rachel's been trying to contact her, which is also putting
Yes.
strain on her.
That's
too.
that's her husband's sister,
who she does not want to talk
who
to.
she because she screamed at her that it was her fault, so she wants nothing to do with her.
And there
like
was
no
like an
contact.
anniversary of Reese's death. Did that happen too?
Oh God. Okay. So the anniversary of his death, she was like shut herself in and worked from home for a couple of days.
Oh,
and Callum, no, do you remember why? So Callum was outside pacing out by his rose garden, and she looked outside and be like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you?" And she's like in a robe, like not dressed for public consumption, and she's like, her eyes are puffy, like she's not in a good state.
Public
And
consumption.
anyway. And he is like in a fucking state. Like he's pacing. He's caged animal, right? And she's like, "What is wrong? Like, what's going on?" He's like, "It's always the babies that get me because he had to bury a
yes.
child, and like he like, and it just destroys him on the inside to do that because he's a very like, he's an amazing human.
Compassionate.
oh
He's
my
very
God, was
compassionate
it that
and
one
empathetic.
date that brought her baby?
No,
that
no, it wasn't.
baby?
It would happen before that.
Oh my God, Jacqueline.
You're the worst.
Jacqueline's like, ooh, small opening.
Let's
make
find some
this
drama.
work.
No, it was just incidental.
It's like when you find a hole in a shirt and you can't leave it alone. You just pick at it and pick at it and pick until there's this gaping hole. That's Jacqueline with drama. Ooh, really?
Let's pull a thread.
Open.
No, it just happened to be the case, and that was the night they ended up like cutting on the couch, and it was before they had their friends with benefits and everything. It was early
Right.
on, but it was a part that like brought them really close together, and this wasn't like he kind of figured it out later what the situation was like while she was so sad on that day, but she had never told him about it. So anyway,
And then he was sad because she didn't tell him.
so Sean, in the meantime, he ended up getting the series. There was a big fucking to-do at the bar
Oh, yeah.
where Sean had found out about her husband and how he had died and that she had left the animation studio, and there was all this drama associated with that and all this. So he dug all of that up. And he claimed that, it was just like a tweet or whatever, like basically trying to defame her and make her look terrible in the eyes of everyone. So he had brought this up at the bar, like where they all go after work to get drinks or whatever. And Callum was there, and so was Lark. And there was a big fucking to-do. And the shit that came out of his mouth was horrendous. And Lark had gone to the bathroom, so she didn't hear some of it. But Callum's standing there listening to this guy. And he's like, "You need to be quiet. You need to stop this right now. You need to stop. Like, none of this is okay. You like half of this is not true." And then he like calls her a slut and all this stuff. Like it was just really bad.
She's not a slut. She's just a fucking murderer. God.
Get
So-
it right.
So Callum hauls off and breaks his fucking nose.
Whoa.
And it's the most satisfying thing I've ever heard or seen in my life. It was amazing.
It was
Buddy.
not.
It was so, and everyone else, like all of the other coworkers and stuff, are like, "Yeah, fucking that
Also,
fucking guy."
shout out to the coworkers. I think, is it Envy?
Yeah, she has a couple coworkers. Her, Anvi, Rory, and Hannah.
I think it was-
Anvi and Rory. So Anvi is, I think she's Indian. She wears a sari.
yeah, she's badass.
And Rory's an NB. Wore like a white tux to the premiere. It was really funny.
A what? Oh,
NB?
non-binary.
Non-binary,
Okay.
yeah.
I was like, Enemy? Who's enemy?
NB, no.
NB, non-binary.
No, like wore like a lovely tux to the and goes and uses they them pronouns.
Yeah.
Which is just slid in there because that's perfectly normal.
So
Refreshing.
lovely.
So refreshing.
So lovely.
They're amazing coworkers and super like
Oh.
Envy especially is super
Yeah.
supportive and like they look out for each other. And it was interesting because after all the stuff came out about Lark, about her husband and all this stuff and why she left the animation studio, Envy was the first person like I'm sorry you did all this and blah blah blah, and she's like, why didn't you ever tell me?
Yeah.
Like I thought we were in a place like I told you about all this stuff was going on with me, and we like you brought me biscuits and like trying to make me feel better and stuff, and just like Lark's always there for everyone else, and she's always there to like look after people and stuff, but she never felt a need that that they could look after her or that she didn't want to burden them with her,
So she hides.
so she hides it and like buries it. And
Well, how do
deals
you
with it.
even bring that up?
I don't know. I
Like-
mean, when you meet people and you talk to people, like you talk about your previous life, I would assume. I mean, I live in Montreal. I talk about Nova Scotia all the time.
But like once you've met them,
I
like
see
that's
what
not
you're
like
saying,
a
like,
super like
it's a niche
casual
topic.
thing,
Right. But
Like,
anyway, I
It would. I feel like it would like at some point as you're getting to know people though. I feel like Rachel, you can speak to this more so because you're doing it right now in your life. But like certain things come up like topics, and you like I don't know why we'd have a conversation about octopuses, but you know you're whatever, and then somebody brings up octopus, and you're like, man, I got attacked by an octopus when I was a kid. That's again really niche information.
also horrifying.
I mean,
and why Rachel hates the ocean. Thanks, everybody.
Fuck the ocean. Hey,
Ooh.
the ocean, if you're listening, fuck you.
You
But-
could
but that- do
play
you-
a game like Never Have I Ever.
I mean,
Never
yeah.
have I ever killed my husband. And then you drink. And everybody's like, whoa. Story.
But that's like intentionally seeking out information, like instead of allowing
Naturally
information to
happen.
organically
Yeah,
come up.
yeah.
Whereas, like,
And I mean, she has a point, but at the same time, and they're
Jacqueline has
no,
a point.
no, sorry, Envy. Envy has a point.
don't tell Jacqueline has a point.
Jacqueline, you have no points.
Other than the fact that Rachel
you
hates
have
the
10 out
ocean.
of 10 points. Don't get me wrong, but no,
That's why Rachel hates the ocean.
fuck the ocean. So, but
And the police.
oh yeah, fucking ACAB. So at one point, Callum sets this whole thing up with the florist to, because she's also a fiddler. She's in this band, and he sets up a day with Lark. And they go, oh gosh, I need to go backtrack a second. Maeve has since passed.
Oh,
She was in
yeah.
hospice. And
She did end up buying.
Is that the old lady from the grocery store?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who said she wasn't buying? She did.
Oh, from
she
Callum
wanted
specifically.
half
Yeah.
No, I just.
Oh.
I don't want what you're selling. It's like, well, here we are.
Well, she had to buy.
It's like foreshadowing, right? But they had like a lovely relationship where
yeah.
they were like hang out and chit
she
chat.
would take her biscuits.
And so one of the last times that she talked to Lark, it was more about like, why are you letting yourself suffer? Like this is the guy you're into and stuff. And so she knew Lark 100%. She knew that she had lost someone important in her life.
The wise
And she
old lady.
Yeah, she's like the wise old lady where she's like, I always knew there was something. Like you could always like tell in the back of Lark's eyes that's like you lost someone very important and you've gone through this kind of thing before.
Read her diary, probably.
Anyway, but
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 how?
Callum, how?
What do you mean, how?
How would she was dying in hospice? How would she have gotten Lark's diary?
You're asking the wrong question.
Here, Maeve, here's my diary. That's literally how that would have had to have gone down.
And so Callum had said the same thing at one point that like after she came out and told him about Reese that like he could always see like the sadness in her despite all like being a lovely, wonderful, sunny disposition kind of person. He could always tell that there was something like very sad in her demeanor. So Callum gets in contact with Saoirse to set up a thing for Lark.
Thing.
And he pops off one evening and he like, cancels plans with Lark saying he can't get together, whatever. So she gets in her head about that, obviously, when she sees him leave the house.
Oh, the singing thing.
And so he had gone off that night to practice a song that he'd written for Lark with the florist, like because she's playing fiddle for or violin for it. And he previously had learned to sing, but he has such horrible social anxiety about being
also
in the
plays
public eye.
piano.
He does play piano very well. He has such like horrible social anxiety about like performing in front of people that he just doesn't do it anymore. Like he passed out the first time he tried doing it. And so Lark had always like kind of encouraged him because she's like, I bet you have a great voice and whatever, that thing.
I'm supportive.
And being a good supportive friend. And so he ended up, and at Maeve's funeral, he sang the Meaning of Life, the Meaning of Life song from
Monty Python.
From Monty Python.
Oh my God, yes.
Always look on the bright side of life. Do 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 do. Anyway, so he sang the a cappella at her funeral, and it was wonderful. And everyone like sang along.
You don't know this?
Because Maeve is like kind of a wonky human, and she's had all of her like Vespa humans came and
Oh my
like,
God,
driving on
yes.
their
And
Vespas.
then she gave the Vespa to the Lark.
Yeah, she gave the Lark her Vespa.
Just imagine a biker gang on scooters of old ladies.
Okay.
And guys. There's guys there too.
Oh, okay.
But old people.
Older human beings.
Yeah. On their scoots, rolling up to a funeral. Beep, beep. Honk, honk.
They see us rolling.
They rolled up.
They did. They literally rolled up. So
On their scoots.
So he invites Lark out to this beach or something, and they drive out on the scooter. And
yeah.
and she has the cute pink helmet with the stickers, and he's got the normal standard issue black helmet, of course.
Because he's black on the outside,
And
black, so he feels on the inside.
That's me. What's up? And so they go to this beach, and they're like hanging out, and then he starts singing his song, and the florist comes out, and she starts fiddling to the song or playing the music for the song, and it's this cute, adorable thing. And he had intended originally to ask her just like to date him, but he kind of proposed to her.
You fucking idiot.
With his grandmother's clattering, which is adorable. Because that's one of the things I got in Galway was a clattering. I
I
love it.
bought myself a cladding ring when I was like 20.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And it was like the promise, because you know what a cladding ring is, right?
No.
It's like friendship, love, and loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
They're Irish wedding bands. And I bought one for myself because I think it was after a really bad breakup or something.
Sounds familiar.
And then I was like, I'm going to promise to always be loyal and true and love myself. And so I bought myself a cladding ring.
Okay, well, find that ring and start doing it.
Stick it back in your fingers. Do this.
I can't. My fingers are fucking massive now. I'm too fat and it doesn't fit me
Then
anymore.
put it on a necklace.
You can actually get necklaces too.
I have a necklace. You gave me a necklace.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Is that what that's called? What's it called
Yeah,
again?
Claddagh.
Oh, yes.
And I can't wear rings because of my job.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
But I have a black clatter ring. It's fucking rad. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it was one of the things that I'm like when I went to Galway. I'm like, I'm 100% getting one of these. Like, it's where they come from, so it's really cool. I love it.
I lost it during a job interview once, and I was like,
Horrifying.
Apparently, I don't love myself enough, but I got the job. So
Oh,
yeah.
good. Well, that worked
Good
out.
times.
So she says no,
And runs.
Obviously.
and off she goes. Off she fucks.
Scoot, scoot.
In the meantime, she told Callum that she didn't get the job, and so basically her life has started imploding. At this point, Lo, her cousin, who she like is in regular contact with, it's like her only family member who's like supportive to her and talks to her and stuff. She ends up coming out for a visit after she finishes. She's working on a med degree or something.
And she what does she call Callum?
Angel of Death.
Angel of Death?
She calls him Angel of Death. And it's very funny because the first time they come in contact with each other, she's like, it's the Angel of Death. And he's like, Celio? Like, who is this? What are you doing here? Because he's only ever seen her like over a video screen, basically, like on the phone. Lark is going through it. And she also has to finish up the edits for like the final edits for the film. And so she's in the middle of that. And that's like a full-time job. Like she's working
Because
late nights
Sean
and stuff.
Can't pull his weight.
Fucking Sean. Anyway, and then Lo goes over to see Callum, and
Angel of Death.
a Angel of Death, and she gives him a flash drive, and she's like, "You need to watch this."
Oh yeah, plague rat.
And while this is going on, Lark walks in somewhere. Look, and she's talking to Sean. Like she congratulates Sean on winning.
Yeah. It's
On
a
winning
mic drop moment.
Yeah, so she congratulates Sean on winning the series. Like no hard feelings. Like just congratulations, very professional.
Yep.
And then she sees what he's working on.
What is it, Jacqueline? What is he working on?
Pornography.
So Sean is working on.
How'd she know?
How did you know? Sean is working on a couple shorts that look incredibly familiar to Lark
Plague rat.
because she designed them.
Plague rat.
And he had snuck into her office at one point and was looking at her sketches
Stole them.
and stuff she was working on. And he 100% plagiarized Plague and Harriet.
He stole them.
And of course, Lark is like, oh, hell no.
Not only that, but like he's bastardizing
He oversaturated the colors. And it's like, because they should have been more like Beatrix Potter, like softer tones. And he like, because his style is like super oversaturated. Yeah. And anyways.
Because he's a douche.
Well, that's what modern animation is. It's super oversaturated, like North American kind of looking stuff. And it's like, I'm all like OG Princess Mononoke, like very like muted kind of tones, hand drawn, like beautiful kind of Japanese composition. Like it's quite nice.
Oh, hi, Miyazaki.
Right?
I just need to know what your issue with birds are. I agree. Oh my God. The Boy and the Heron.
I didn't see that yet.
Oh, fuck. There's so much with birds. I was like, the takeaway that I had from this movie is he fucking hates birds.
Two birds with a feather, eh, Ash?
Oh my God. I was like, I feel this. There was a Budgie King who was voiced by Dave Bautista. And I was like, what? Yep.
Dave Bautista as a budgie seems great. I like that idea.
He was like a really tall budgie. Oh. And there was like budgies with knives. You would have fucking died for it.
Knife budgies. Hell yeah.
Knife budgies. Anyway, yes. The classic style animation.
Right. So she kicks up a shit about this, obviously. And so Wendy from HR gets involved. And so does...
Wendy's also super close with Sean, though.
She is. She's definitely got like... she's got a thing for Sean. She's not a thing, I would say. She's on his side a lot. And I think that has to do with the nepotism thing where she's like, if I support Sean, then I look good in the eyes of the owner.
I think Sean also manipulated her in a very real way.
I think so too. He's such a piece of shit.
Yes.
Like he's just a walking trash compactor. Sean. Like Jesus fuck. Anyway.
Trash compactor.
Oh, I can't stand him. He's what is it? Yeah, a sentient HR violation. So Mr. Sullivan, the studio owner, calls her into the office and calls Sean to the office. They have like a meeting or whatever. He's like, well, you're going to have to prove this and stuff. She's like, I got all the files at home. Let's do this. So the next day she brings all the files in. They prove that Sean fucked up. They straight up fire Sean. He's gone.
Bye, Sean.
She ends up getting the series, of course. And so she ends up being able to stay in Ireland.
Hi, Felicia.
Then like there's a couple conversations, like Lowe specifically helps Lark out a lot, I think, about like, this is... like, you're so into Callum. Like, this is such a thing. And I know you're trying to protect yourself. But, like, you need... like, it's been over 2 years since her husband passed. And
then there's the studio thing.
Premiere?
Yeah.
So the premiere happens after all this stuff. So...
oh, okay.
Okay, so... he watches the videos... or he watches the short. And... Lark also knows she's staying now. So they end up reconciling. Yeah. And the way they because like, you know, Callum asks her to go meet at their spot.
Go steady with me.
And their spot is down by the canal. And
where they watch the hookers.
Where they watch the hookers, which are boats.
Hookers.
Boats.
Hookers.
Galway hookers, yeah.
Sailboats.
They're sailboats. And so Lark goes to meet him there. And she sees like this little drawing on the ground. And the drawing is of a hearse. And it's a very hilarious chalk drawing. And she's like, what the heck? And there's like a follow me kind of situation. So she follows it to the next.
It's adorable.
And she goes down through all these like horrible chalk drawings because he's not an artist. But God love him, he tries. And it's basically the entire history of their relationship.
Oh.
Like of all the things they did. Like the cliffs and like the Vespa and all these things. And the sun, I should have mentioned the fucking sunflowers too. He filled her entire home with sunflowers.
Listen, I don't want to talk about how perfect he is.
He's 100% perfect.
Sean Holmes represents.
And
again,
she ends so when she ends up at the end of this, he put like a bed underneath a willow tree and set up this like fairy lights and a screen and with a projector. And he invited her to a premiere of Harriet and Plague Rat. Because it deserves its own premiere. Yes. And so they sit there and they make their like special popcorn mix that they make when they're watching movies.
They have a special popcorn mix?
They do. It's called a kitchen sink mix. It's like chocolate and caramel and it has like snackies in it and popcorn. And it sounds amazing. I should have started with that, Jack. Sorry.
You really should have. It should be in my note.
I'm so sorry.
Anything food related needs to be in Jacqueline's notes.
You're not wrong. Yeah, that's fair. Tough but fair. I'll try to remember. I'll try to do better in the future.
Yeah, Rachel, how dare you?
That's fair. So they have this like lovely evening together. And of course she tells him that she's staying and they end up in this relationship. And it's great. Wonderful. Then you snap to the premiere. The premiere of The Pirate Queen.
Right. Yep.
And so at the premiere, like, just all dolled up, looked amazing. Obviously, everybody, especially him, he cleans up real nice. And there's a film in the film fest from an American company called Blue Sky, which is the company she used to work for.
Which is who Rachel works.
And she was like, oh, whatever. Like, I saw that there's one in the program, but like, they're not going to send people to Galway. Like, that's so far. And long and behold, they end up sending people to Galway. And one of the people they sent was Rachel. And they have a confrontation. And obviously Lark's like, I don't have shit all to say to you. Like, you were horrible to me because you were my best friend. And so when my husband died, I lost my husband and my best friend. And this is bullshit. And you were so bad to me. And of course, Rachel's like, I recognize how terrible I treated you. And I've since been to therapy. And I've been going, like, I took my anger out on my brother. I took it out on you and all this stuff. And they have like a bit of a reconciliation. And in the meantime, this is where Envy is like, you want me to take care of this? I'll take care of this. Do you want me? You Rachel? Let's go. What's up? She's like this.
That's
the Indian. Yeah, she's like an Indian gal in her sari, and she's like, I'm gonna fuck you up. You Rachel? Let's go. Like, it's so funny. And Lark's like, it's okay. I got this. Like, it's so cute.
I got my bitch stomping boots.
Oh God, I love like fierce friends. It's so wonderful.
Is she wearing pink cowboy boots?
Not to the
all
premiere.
The time?
No, just it's like a running joke almost, but she does it on occasion. She's from Texas. And so they go to the premiere, like, they kind of reconcile a bit. They agree to do better and like have their conversations and stuff. They go to the premiere, huge hit, wins a bunch of awards, wonderful.
Yay!
Everyone loves everything.
Everyone loves everything. Everything is awesome.
I should mention too, because we need to talk about the reconciliation on his inheritance.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was, after he proposed to Lark and she said no, Deirdre was like, all right, let's go do this. We're going to get married.
We're in love.
She's like 70 or something. his assistant.
And he's like, yeah, okay.
Well, he's like, I'm out of options. Yeah. Like, so I got to do this.
Home.
Yeah. And so,
and then Lark shows up.
So what Lark ends up doing in behind all of this stuff is she has a key for the house now that he gave her to the funeral home because she broke in. After she broke in, he's like, here's a key. Please don't break in one of my fucking windows. He doesn't say fuck, but I'm paraphrasing. And so she has a key for the place. So she had gone into his place at one point and had gotten the will.
Dead bodies there.
Is it a skeleton key?
No. Oh. That sounds amazing. It's a good idea. So she ended up getting her hands on the will because she wanted a second opinion on it, because the person who wrote the will, the solicitor who wrote it up, was his grandfather's solicitor for a million years and said it's ironclad and there's nothing you can do about it.
To be fair to you, she also brought this up earlier on to be like, hey, maybe get a second opinion. And he's like, nope, no point. I'm a man. I know best.
All right. But like the way that was handled was not as terrible as what you make it sound. But he was like I had it checked out by the solicitor and they said this about it. And like, he was very like common sense about it. And he had no reason not to trust this person, in fairness.
Yeah.
And that person potentially thought it was ironclad because he wrote it. And so Adrian...
I know best.
So Adrian, the solicitor, got his hands on this. And Adrian's back. Adrian and Lowe end up as a thing.
Adrian.
So Adrian and Lark fucking crashed the proverbial wedding, as it were.
Yeah.
Because he and Deidre, they're signing papers in order to apply to get their marriage license so they can solve this issue. And they like...
I object!
She like rolls in and she's like, wait, I have the answer. And the security guard's like, I told you can't go in there. Like, it's a whole thing.
I volunteer as tribute.
And so Adrian finds a loophole in the clause, or in the contract.
Yeah.
And it's not a loophole. It's he finds a contradiction, I guess, in this, in that his father was going to sign the property off to this other company, and the will said that it has to stay in the family, and so his father broke the contract by not leaving it in the family, and he had a written agreement with his name and the name of the company he was selling it to, like, drawn up legally, and so that voided the entire thing for him. And so it went to Callum instead. Or sorry, it would have gone off to like someone else in the family or whatever. So anyways, it basically had to stay in the family regardless. And where his father was going to, so Callum wins. And Lark saves the day, of course.
And Callum's dad's a dick.
He's such a fucking dickhead. He's such a piece of shit.
He and Sean are made for each other.
Oh my gosh, Sean gets so fired. It's so satisfying.
Sean gets so fired.
And he like does this big dramatic thing where he's putting his like his pictures in his box where he's like has to pack his desk up, and he like slowly puts in the picture of his kids, and she's like, listen, you're a piece of shit. Like, I'm paraphrasing again because no one curses in this, but they say feckin' piece of
Oh, I hate
you feckin' arse. And that's the summation of the whole book, really.
And the end.
And so the epilogue, they're on Skellig Michael, which is hilarious because that's where they filmed part of Star Wars.
Star Wars.
That was Luke's like
Da, 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 da.
hidey hide, the Jedi
the
whatever.
Accho or whatever the hell.
I can't remember what it's called for life of me.
ACHCHO or
Sure, it's the place where the ancient Jedi lived and where they keep their books and shit.
with the weird frog ladies.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're like vacationing. This is years. It's like 8 years later or something. Jump down to it.
Children.
So then they've had 2 kids at that time. With both have bird names. Bran is one of them, a name for
Robin.
and Robin is the other one. Bran was named after the crow from something. Oh gosh, I can't remember what it is. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They're both bird names. And so they have 2 kids, and neither of them are interested in the family business. And Callum would never ever make them sign that off to them or any of that shit. He's like, I don't care. We're not doing this again. So it's like, great. And obviously one of them's like kind of an artist like her mom, which is kind of fun.
Star Wars.
Yeah. And so like they're hanging out in Skellig Michael, like chit-chatting and just like relaxing and stuff. And anyways, that's your Star Wars reference for the day.
I just gotta know,
What's up?
Ivy Fairbanks. Y'all a Raylo?
Are you a Raylo?
Are you Raylo?
We have to ask.
I like.
It's obligation now.
It's one of those things.
She
like,
does say in the back of the book that she's a big fan of Star Wars. She doesn't specifically say anything about Raylos though. So she does call it the fact that she's into Star Wars.
I mean, that's fair.
So that's all I know, because who knows what they're up to.
Well, I mean, the amount of bullshit Raylos get when they publish books, I imagine there's a lot of people being like, I don't want to be known as a Raylo.
Fair. So Jack,
You gonna read some shit?
we're gonna read some shit
Why do I always forget?
I don't know.
because you get so lulled by the sound of my
It's
voice.
true.
that you just
44
get a sense of
episodes and she
comfort.
fucking forgets.
Listen, we got it. It's fine. Okay, let's read something.
It's chapter 27, in case anyone was wondering. Callum. Lark led me to her bedroom by my hand, then placed my hand on her breast. Shite. This was really happening. Tremors shook my fingers as the soft, lace-covered palmful yielded to my squeeze. Dilated pupils nearly engulfed her eyes with a seductive hunger that sent a shiver down my spine. With torturous slowness, she pushed me down on her bed and straddled me. I ground against her with increasing desperation. Breathless, she pulled back and tugged my shirt overhead, appreciatively caressing my chest and arms. "Oh my God," I mumbled, thumbing her nipples. Lark pressed hard on my erection, sending her keening. Fascinated, I delighted in her responsiveness, every tensing of every muscle and resulting exhalation. Heady vanilla citrus filled my nose, intoxicating as her sultry gaze. She slid down my body and eased herself to her knees, pulled my zipper down and tugged at my trousers. I lay there, heart thundering in anticipation as she undressed me. Every cell in my body wanted her, and Lark wanted me. My cock sprang free from my boxer briefs. Who knew the Reaper had such a pretty scythe? What did you just call my penis? Banter and corny jokes helped to remind me this was casual, not profound. I'm a tiny bit afraid you'll kill me with that thing. My laugh gave way to a sinful groan when Lark's tongue slid against her palm before she wrapped it around me. My eyelids drifted closed as she increased the pace of her strokes, but I couldn't last for long if she kept that up. I flipped her onto her back, pressed her down against the mattress, my forearms caging her. My heated kisses traced her jaw and neck, my hours-old stubble surely chafing her sensitized flesh. I peeled one strap of her bra down, then another, kissing each shoulder. As the brassiere cups fell away, a desperate noise broke from my throat. I took the opportunity to brazenly admire her. Primal need shot through my bloodstream. It had been so long since I'd felt this way, and never with such intensity. Every place our bodies made contact practically sizzled. You're perfect. Lowering my head, I lavished attention on her sweet breasts, seizing a tightened nipple between my teeth. Cal! I froze. Had I gone too far? She sank a hand into my hair. I'm into it. You just surprised me. A little biting is okay, Count. Relief turned my mouth upwards, and I dragged it down her torso until I was kneeling on the floor at the foot of her bed, assuming a position of worship, which was exactly what I planned to do. Tell me if you want me to stop. Touch me before I lose my mind. Grasping her ankles, I tugged Lark down until her shapely calves hung over the bed's edge, flanking my ears. Irish word, I countered. What?
You're doing so well.
Irish word. Irish word, I countered. In the Irish I'd taught her a few minutes ago. I wanted to see what she liked. Touch yourself. Show me how you like it. Goosebumps spilled across her belly as I slid her dampened knickers over her legs and tossed them onto the floor. Heat flared in Lark's eyes as I spread her knees and breathed in her scent. Vulnerable. Seductive. She was more than ready. Stoking my desire, she obeyed my command, slim fingers massaging her wet pussy. She watched me watch her, biting her lip when she touched a particularly sweet spot. My focus oscillated between her face and her slick, nimble fingers. I'd imagined this, but real life beats fantasy. My mouth literally watered. Hungry and impatient, I brushed her hand aside. My turn. At the first slow, delicious lick, Lark whimpered and involuntarily clamped her thighs around my ears. Yes. Fingers laced in my hair, she murmured my name as I pinned her legs open. I devoured her, alternating delving in with my tongue and pressing sucking kisses to her swollen clit. Pre-cum dribbled from my cock. Not yet. It nearly sent me over the top when she ground against my chin and a juicy burst hit my tongue. Wet sounds mingled with her cries as I quenched myself, as I drowned in her. When I pulled away, she lifted heavy eyelids, legs still quivering. I made a performance out of licking my lips as I climbed over her. I took Lark's mouth, wanting her to taste her own sweet tang. Breathily. Taste that sweet tang.
Some nice sour cream on your lips.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Gosh, no.
Ew.
Breathily, she said, I just remembered the French term for orgasm is la petite mort. How appropriate. That's actually what I named my dick. The little death. I joked between kisses. My cock nestled in her wetness, and she dragged along its length, rolling her hips to glide along every ridge and vein. I groaned, half in agony, half in ecstasy. Talk to me in Irish. Immersion learning. Immersion, I raised a brow at her ironic timing. Need thrummed through my body. After months of yearning, I had hit my breaking point. I'd never lied to Lark before, but I wasn't strictly honest when she'd asked how to say I want you. Irish words also meant I love you. When it came to Lark, want and love were one and the same. Whispering it to her in Irish made the confession safe. A realization hit like ice water.
Irish
Shite.
words.
Rubbers. I have some. Reluctantly, Lark climbed off and retrieved the protection from her bathroom. Pert breasts bouncing, she sprinted back into bed and hopped on the mattress, wearing nothing but a filthy grin. I was one lucky bastard. Let me, she said. Enraptured, I watched as she licked the tip of my cock, engulfing the head between her kiss-swollen lips before rolling on the condom. Please, please let me make this good for her. With aching slowness, Lark mounted me and sank down. For a moment we stilled, locked in mutual disbelief. She felt incredible. I gasped, hands on her ass to direct the movement. Staring into my eyes, she accepted every inch. When I filled her, she filled me with awe, until there was no room for loneliness. Only Lark, only us, only these perfect moments. Keep talking, she begged me, as we slowly negotiated a rhythm. Nervous and overcome with sensation, I worried about my ability to speak. How do I tell you this feels amazing? Irish words. Experimentally, she rolled her hips. We both cried out at the intensity. Irish words, I whispered, peppering kisses across her beautiful tits. Go slower. Determined not to leave her behind, I snaked a thumb between us to strum her clit, and she arched her back. Holy shite. Light-headed, I relinquished myself to it, admiring Lark as she unraveled. I set a slow, sensual pace as she dug into my shoulders. Her beautifully disheveled blonde hair partially obscured her hooded eyes and stuck to her forehead, but her gaze was terrifyingly reverent, shining eyes with unfallen tears. I braced her hips to still her undulations. Had I accidentally hurt her? Lark? Cal, don't stop now. Please, I need you. My heart nearly burst. She grabbed my wrists, pinning them on either side of my head. Greedy hands ran appreciatively down my forearms, then interlaced with my fingers. So intimate. I tried to hold eye contact, but she squeezed her eyes shut and rode me with renewed aggression. Right. This wasn't lovemaking. It was fucking. Or at least it was supposed to be. Give it to me, Lark demanded. Faster. Anything she wanted. Anything I could give. Easily breaking her grasp, I planted my hands on her ass. I thrust rougher up into her until my rhythm became as choppy as our labored breath. Just like that, she was clenching, writhing, moaning. Vision and hearing faded out as touch dominated my senses. Salty sweet buzzed on my tongue as my teeth grazed her skin. I hugged Lark close. Muttering a string of expletives, I dug my heels into the mattress and filled the rubber. I refused to loosen my grip even as our movement slowed and I softened inside her. Even as she captured my swollen lips for a languid, sated kisses. I never wanted Lark to climb off me. I never wanted to go back to being only friends.
Thanks for that, Jack.
Irish words.
Irish words. I love your pronunciation. It was excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that.
Irish words.
Irish words.
Irish words.
So I guess we got to rate this book. So I propose we rate it on body bags, which I think tracks given the subject matter. So let's call it, like, what's a box of body bags? Call it like 10. Like, call it 10 body bags.
Last time you ordered body bags, how many were in a box, Jack?
Yeah, you can usually get like 10, 25.
Okay, let's go 10.
Yeah.
10 body bags. Ash, what do you rate this?
Why do we always start with Ashton? We don't always start with Ashton.
Nailed it.
I don't want to rate it 10 because it wasn't perfect, but it was damn near close. So like 9.5? Like
10 doesn't make it perfect.
Okay.
Nothing's ever perfect.
It's funny. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine about like how we we deal with books, and like there's a lot of TikTokers, book talkers are like, you know, the whatever in the very literary blah 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 whatever. I'm rating this based on how I like it. 10. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 10 because it's, and I hate giving it a 10 because but like. There's not a whole lot I would have changed about this. I do remember being like, oh, this feels like an excessive amount of Irish thrown in there. It almost felt nichey to a point. Like, they was trying to make a point. But, I mean, after a while, it just became, like, obvious why it was there, because it's in Ireland. But like the terminology, like hookers and stuff like that. But I mean, even then, like that's not enough to be like that deserves it. Take away a point. It was delightful. It was cute, and it was her first book.
It's funny because you say that, and I left my heart in Ireland. This book isn't Irish enough for me. The fact that it's based in Ireland and in Galway specifically, which is like the fucking heart of Ireland in my opinion, like you could put some more Irish stuff in there, no problem.
I think for me, it felt not forced, but like it didn't feel organic the way it came about, and then it eventually did feel a little bit more organic. But like, that's literally the only complaint I have about the book.
I love how Ivy Fairbanks used it to move plot along too.
Yeah,
because there's whole points where Lark just takes pause, and she's usually such a charismatic person, and nothing stops her and whatever. But like some things people say to her, and she has to take pause and be like, that's not what I think it means. That's something completely different. So like I really, especially like where I have moved to a place that does not have English as a primary language, I fucking love when that kind of stuff happens, because I'm like, oh, you're talking about something completely different. Cool. Like there's something like charming about that. Like when you go to a new place and like you don't understand their linguistics to a point where it's like, oh, like every time he brings up hookers, she's like, Galway hookers? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, come with me, and he shows her the boats, and it's like, oh, what? Like that kind of shit. I fucking love that. It's so charming. And I
like that it was there. Like I said, it just felt forced for the first little bit. But I mean,
because you're reading it from Lark's perspective too.
Yeah, and it's her first fucking book.
Oh my god!
And like
it's so well written. Okay,
like even the third act breakup wasn't like you. It was like you knew it was coming. Based on like,
and it wasn't even a breakup technically.
No,
because they weren't. But it's a conflict.
Yeah, the third act conflict is like the people argue whether it's a good book if it catches you off guard. No, it's a good book if the foreshadowing is done to a point that you see the things coming, but you're still excited about it. Like, and that's that. Like it was just. It was what it was. It was a nice little rom-com-y kind of like, but it still had the feels.
It's a little morbid meet cute. Like.
I really enjoyed this book. Like I really did. I hate giving away perfect scores, but like I say that as if my score means anything in the grand scheme of things.
It means something to me, Ashton.
I really fucking loved, and I loved the characters, and I love the secondary characters. It wasn't just the main characters. I love the secondary characters and the way that they were presented in this too, and like the way they flush things out. And I really look forward. I was disappointed when I looked up to see what else, because I always, as soon as I read a book that I really enjoy, I immediately go to the author on Goodreads to see what else they have in their catalog to be like, this sounds like I like that. There's nothing, because this is her first fucking book. So I'm like, well, fuck. Now I gotta wait until she writes something else, which I will read.
So what's 10?
10. I'm giving it 10. What do you ready? What do you words?
I'm giving it 9, and then another. I'm gonna pull Jacqueline 9, and then one of the body bags has a broken zipper, so it's like a 9.8.
One of the body bags accidentally had a body in it.
Yeah, potentially.
I love when people pull Jacqueline.
They're pull Jacquelines. Like dead ass. My only complaint is that I wish there was more Ireland in it, because I fucking love Ireland, and my impression, especially in Galway, did not come through in this book in a way that like I feel like if you've gone to Galway, there's something so special about it that it deserves more airtime in a book that's specifically based in that kind of place. But as far as the Irish and that kind of stuff goes, wonderful. I think she did a really good job capturing the Irish people, for lack of a better term, because they are a very fucking like quirky kind of people, but they're also this level of seriousness where they deadpan a lot. Like I had met a ton of people that were just like, they would say something to you like, oh, you're joking.
Dry humor.
Definitely such dry humor. And so like that definitely came through in this. The third act conflict I thought was
not me at all.
Nailed it. The third act conflict I thought was like excellent.
Dark.
Because again, it was a lot of like, you know what's coming.
Yeah.
Some shit is going to happen. And then like Lark's entire life like falls apart again, but she still perseveres through all of it this time as opposed to the previous time. And she stopped running was a big one for me.
Well, yeah, she took what she learned and she applied it to better her life, which is kind of like that point with even like in life in general, when you have that friend who's like, my life sucks, and you're like, okay, well, what are you gonna do about it? And like, no, my life just sucks. Well, no, but like
she like
Call out hour.
I mean, she ran away anyway. She ran away from her problems, but then ran into solving
more problems.
Well, she ran into solving them in the end of the day, and really accepting love into her life in a different way that she couldn't before.
She matured.
Yeah, and even the resolution with Rachel at the end of the book, where it's like they kind of saw eye to eye at some point, and she apologized, and like, yeah, she kind of ruined Lark's life for some, like at one point, but Lark ran directly into what she wanted to do and who she wanted to be with. So, I fucking like
9.5,
9 a bajillion, like not quite 10, but damn near.
right?
But yeah, I totally agree with your assertion of like Ivy Fairbanks. Write me some more books. I need like so delightful to read. Her writing is just lovely, and Lark as a character, like fucking solid, amazing female character. Love her.
Yeah.
I want more of this.
I loved how quirky and like whimsical it was in a huge way. Like, like you, I mean, obviously, yes, Ireland, whatever, but
That's a personal problem.
No, I was just gonna say this book could be written in like Australia.
Oh,
And
definitely.
it would,
yeah.
I feel like it would still have that degree of whimsy to it that just like with plague rat and like those kinds of things. Jack, what do you think?
You had to read the
words.
word knickers. How did you feel about
Irish
that?
words.
I know knickers is a word you're a fan of.
Irish.
Knickers is fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was anything like too. I don't like the word like shite and that stuff annoys me. But
Irish words.
I did enjoy saying Irish words a lot. I found it a little like not awkward to read, but like to read out loud was a little bit more cumbersome.
Okay.
Or something like which most people aren't really doing, so it's not really that big of a deal. Like if you're just reading it to yourself or listening to it, it's probably fine.
Because did you listen to this, Ash? No, you read it. Okay.
No, I read it.
Yeah.
I liked the joke about like naming his dick and all that because that's like my jam.
Naming
And that was
dicks.
the thing I should mention is that like he is. I think the phrasing he used was like, I'm not into anything physical until I really get to know someone on an emotional level, and then physical stuff is absolutely grand, is how he phrases it. So he is like into the smexy times. It's just that he needs to have an emotional.
He's
connection.
horny.
He's
He
horny
just
AF.
needs to
He just needs to connect with somebody before
feel the feels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. Also, I like this little tagline that's on the cover of the book: "Falling for the wrong person, bury your feelings." Also,
I do love the cover. It's great.
as I was
Yeah, it's
flipping
cute.
through, there's actually 5 body bags in the package, and they're adult sized.
Oh, thank you, Jacqueline. I appreciate that.
So let's just say maybe they got like 2 packages.
Yeah,
that week
it's a
or
double pack.
something. So I'm thinking
Double pack of body bags.
Yeah.
I'll probably give it that full first 5 pack,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe like 4 children's size body bags.
Wow. Okay. We're
Thanks,
going
Jack.
there.
I was a little upset about Callum's treatment of the florist. I can't remember her name.
Saoirse.
Sure, that one.
Irish
So,
words.
He just kind of like seemed to discard her feelings that she has for him and gets her help with like doing a romantic gesture for Lark.
I feel like they have that conversation though, don't they?
It and again, you only get the summation of it, but like
Yes.
that was much more fleshed out in the actual book,
I'm
and
pretty
they
sure-
did, and she handled it incredibly well.
I feel like
no-
she was the one that spearheaded it mostly.
She really was, because she's always had a crush on him.
Yeah.
She acted on her crush on him, which was like, again, fucking props to you, girl, because
Yeah.
like that's amazing thing to do.
Shot my shot.
Shot your shot. It's not that he didn't like you, it's that he has these massive feelings for somebody else, and she knew that going into it.
Yeah.
But she wanted to shoot her shot anyway, just in case.
Well, and she was
And
also
she
like,
also didn't know about the I should mention too, a lot of people didn't know about the inheritance thing.
Yes.
It was only like Lark and Deidre and like the solicitor. Like there's only a handful of people that knew. So like the florist didn't know.
Right.
So she had no idea what the stakes were going into this or anything. She just genuinely liked him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And wanted to like.
And they've had a working relationship and like a solid relationship for a while. And I'm like, I you read this more recently than me, but I feel like it was very much a like, don't fuck this up. Like she was that character that was like, okay.
And they were friends because
Yeah.
they've known each other and worked together forever. So like she was a genuinely friend character in
Yeah.
this, where she's like wants to see him do well and succeed. And I honestly think there's some like I got a vibe at one point where she was like trying to make Lark jealous too, because that's always like an acting
Yeah.
point for some characters to be like. You reflect on your feelings sometimes. You're like, why am I feeling jealous about this
Yeah.
thing? And it's like, oh, because I really have feelings for him.
Well, she was an archetype character. Like you see these
Definitely.
characters in books like this a lot, where it's like, okay, the main whatever character, female or male, whichever one of the characters is stuck in their feels, whatever, trying to figure things out. They need to get past it, so they have the character that like had the crush or has the relation or whatever the case may be, and they have that awkward conversation of like, you know, I'm sorry it couldn't be us. And like, oh, that's fine, but just don't fuck it up with this person.
Well, it's almost like a fence sitting situation where
Yeah.
it's like, I'm going to shove you over this fence.
Yeah.
And you need that catalyst sometimes to get your fees in the right place.
The Fifis. You're a cow. I'm going to put a bell around your neck and haul you over into this pasture now. Sit
Figure
down.
it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eat your fucking grass and
So
potatoes.
So that was a 9, Jack?
Whoa. Eat your potatoes.
Eat your potatoes.
Here's a potato.
Show me potato salad. So that was a 9.
Is that a 9? Children's body bags. That feels like.
Are you suggesting that children are not as important as adults in death?
I think it's about the weight of them, not
I was
necessarily
thinking about the
fact that-
size. Yeah. 2 children's body bags would make up an adult human. That was my thought process.
Okay, so 9. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that
We're just
association.
like, we're not delving into this.
I don't have a book to talk about because it's been a week for me. And do you have any podcasts or anything you've been listening to, Jack?
No.
Okay. Ash, you got anything you want to talk about?
I mean, I'm always reading shit.
I know.
I read Pucking Ever After Volume 2 by Emily Rath.
That's a sequel to
Well, so there's Pucking Around, which is one I
Yes.
keep going on and on about.
Yeah.
And then she
you
wrote,
and everyone else.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And then she wrote Pucking Wild. But she wrote like a series of short stories that are in between. So there's Pucking Ever After Volume 1 and Pucking Ever After Volume 2, which is, so it's just a bunch of short stories about the characters in the Pucking Around and Pucking Wild. So this one, it's in the Jacksonville Rays series. Rachel Price, Jake, Caleb, and Elmari are one family, and then Tess and Ryan are in Pucking Wild. So it was just really adorable. This is the one where I was like, oh my god, I thought this was going to be cute, but this is really heavy, and now I'm like all in my feels at work, and you're like, stop reading it. And I was like, no, I must persevere.
That happens far too often for you to keep track of them, by the way.
This is fair.
Yeah.
It was adorable, and I like the what's the word? It's just very
Horny.
Yeah, it was definitely that. There was one scene where they're like in a glass hut because they're on their wedding, and they're having sex in the glass because there's like water underneath and like fish and stuff, and they're like fucking ready to go at it, and then all of a sudden there's a guy and she's like, he's got a gun, and it's a squeegee, and the guys are like squeegeeing the bottom of the hut, and they're like, well, fuck it, so he just lays down and she blows him, and he's like, well, they got a good shot of my ass.
Jesus.
It's just like slice of life, like
Okay.
the cute little slice of life things, and like, oh my god.
That sounds adorable.
I mean, compared to what happened in another one
Under
when
the
she had like, anyway, it was really cute, and I really
Nice.
enjoyed it. So that's
So
what I
good
read.
supplement to the series then, like just a nice addition.
Yeah, just fun, cute little things
Nice.
that happened. There's, oh my god, this is the one where it's like the polycule, and like one of them was like friends but not, but then like
they end up.
yeah. Well, they delve into that with the quote unquote straight one and his relationship with Caleb through like Caleb being high after getting his wisdom teeth
Oh, yes.
out. There's like talk
Those
of,
are the best drugs, by the way.
there's talk of like, this is their song, and it's like Taylor Swift, and like it. Yeah, it's just adorable. And then
Cute.
they fuck hard and delightful.
Of course they do. Everything
Yeah.
we love.
So it was cute. That was I read that.
Well, thanks, Ash. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate that. The next time we are back, we are reading The Corsair's Captive by Ruby Dixon. And y'all might know Ruby Dixon from her Ice Planet Barbarian series. This is a different series, so I want to try something a little different. So that's available on Kindle. You can definitely pick it up on, from her specifically as well. And I encourage you to read that. So we will be back next time, folks. And thanks for joining us for Morbidly Yours. Lovely book. Lots of body bags. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Ivy.
Thanks, Ivy. Please write some more books so we can read them. Thanks.
Yay.
And we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Queens of Spice podcast. You'll find us on Instagram and Twitter at Queens of Spice. Or if you want to send us an email, you can reach us at queensofspice@gmail.com.